Everybody. I hope you're doing well. Uh, I am. I'm not in full lights tonight. This ridiculous amount of heat here in Texas is just kicking our ass. So also I'll be previewing a song that I've been working with, but uh, it became way too processor intensive to run with Twitch Studio. So I have ripped the song down already, brought it into SoundForge, so you'll get a good hear of it. And then I can actually, go back through and go through some of the sounds that were used in some of the gear that I used as well. Most of this was all done in VSTs. Virtual Synths, I use the uh, S88MK1 from Complete Control Native Instruments as the main controller. And then I use my Kurzweil 2000 on secondary MIDI channel. I didn't use the WaveState. I didn't use the DeepMind 12. I did, however, use the Virus for an ARP. So I could take a little bit of pressure off of the processor in that respect, because I needed an ARP in this. So I'm in my desk drawer. It's like kind of janky. Sorry there, guys. I'm going to shake the whole damn thing. But I used a couple of plugins that I've had, or a couple of things that I've had for a while that I haven't used. One of them at one time, and that's UVI Falcon, to make a track with. I used UVI Falcon Interdimensions, and the thing was called Guitar Feedback, and Falcon's pretty cool. I need to do a show or two on Falcon, but Falcon's cool in the fact that, like, a knob on one of the virtual instruments, you can actually damn it, this desk is bothering me. You can actually go in and right click and do a modifier on it, and I use Channel Aftertouch from the S88 as to modify one of the plugin parts. So if that makes any sense, I can show it better. And then I really got into using, I purchased this some time ago from East West Productions, called Forbidden Planet. One of my broskies introduced that to me and said I needed to check it out. And I was like, okay, I'm always up for wasting money on stuff I don't need, right? For sure. So, anyway, yeah, um, so I couldn't, so I haven't used it in anything actually. And I just kind of started getting into it as well. And you know me, and lots of people know what I do, and I like a lot of drony stuff, a lot of like Venda Obamana stuff, but I also like hardcore industrial shit like Skinny Puppy, Frontline Assembly. So there's a dichotomy there of musics, but they all go into each other fairly well, right? Frontline Assembly has a side project called Delirium that started out as just like experimental noise and stuff like that. Skinny Puppy's done several offshoots, Cyberactive with Frontline Assembly, Doubting Thomas, Lard, Pig. I mean, just like on and on and on and on. So there's a lot of sound palettes in my head that match stuff, right? So the Forbidden Planet, I used a couple of different layers of drones on it, and then the drums I used drum loops from Sasha called the full Modulark One. I don't do a lot of live program drums. I can't. I mean, I'll do some roll downs and stuff on the MK3, but I don't do a lot of like finger drumming or drumming on the keyboard or whatever. An ex friend of mine was pretty good at that because he would go in and quantize it and line it up, and I can do that all in Cakewalk. But why do it if I have lots of drum loops, like gigs and gigs with the native instrument stuff? All the expansion packs, I'll have 80 to 100 different drum loops with them and bits and pieces and stuff, right? So, and on the FX channel, I use my standard compressor, EQ, tube simulator, emulation, and N-Type console. And on my FX channel, I use Isotope Ozone 5 and then Reverb 2. I've always used Reverb 2. It came with Cakewalk. It's a great, great, great plugin. And then the Isotope Ozone 5, it's an older rev. It's not as processor intensive as, say, Ozone 10 is, but nonetheless, it's a very, very good. That's bothering me. I up my ceiling fan, and it's now blowing this around, which drives me absolutely freaking bonkers. So, without further ado, so the track is called An Eternity of Lost Time. It's from the themed album this year, The Worst of Our Future, the Best of Our Past, right? So I will play it in, I will not play it in Cakewalk, but I will actually play it in SoundForge, and then I'll go back into Cakewalk and break down some of the synth parts and show you some of that. So let me get it over to the cam right there. So there is good old SoundForge. I'm going to put the cans on here, turn the external speakers off, because you never know if I'm going to use a vocoder, So that's kind of cool, right? Oh, cool. Bear with me, guys. Profile settings. Done, sir. Done, done, done. Thank you very much. Feel free, Brian O'Toole, feel free to ask me any questions. I'll be glad to help as much as I can. No problem there at all with me, guys. So, okay. We have a vocoder going too.
That's a pretty good vocoder setting there.
Okay, enough playing on the vocoder. That's pretty good mic too. All right, so are we ready? We're ready. Okay, once again, track name, An Eternity of Lost Time. All right, if you're ready, here we go. I'll be releasing this. So that guitar sound is from the UVI Falcon. turn on a couple lights. There's one of them. And some flicker. Once again, I'm having to use SoundForge to let you hear this because it's too intensive with Twitch Studio. That guitar sound is UVI Falcon. I'm just using this. I'll get into Cakewalk here in a minute and go through some of the sounds. So that guitar's coming from Contact 7. Turned out nice. We can really hear that the virus arm in there. So it's a nice ambient track that goes into a down-tempo mode. We'll get into all the gear here in just a minute. All the VSTs that were used. I've never tried anything like this with a guitar, so to speak, in it, the 12-string strumming. The cool thing about the virus, and I've used it, I've talked to you guys about it numerous times, is it's hardware controlled by a VST. And so Digitac also, when I had the Digitac, it was also the same thing. But the virus was just, it's a league of its own as a synth. So Mug, I have no formal training as a musician. I was a drummer for many years, high school and college, but no music theory to speak of. I just love technology, you know. We're just about through with this song, and then I'll go into some of the software used. So the cool thing is that Skinny Puppy CD that has the software in it, I actually have a Windows XP box I built earlier this week as just a legacy box, fun box. It's actually running solid state drives, which is kind of really freaking crazy for Windows XP to do. The motherboard's about 20 years old, but so I can install that whole thing into the Windows XP box and actually use that ridiculously old ass software. just about done here. It's got about a 13-minute song. So there's an eternity of lost time, right? I'm going to close that out. Bring Cakewalk up. Close sound form. So here we are, front and center with Cakewalk. So let's see here, Falcon 1. You can hear that vibrato. That sort of westerny, I mean, it is a guitar, but it has a westerny guitar sound. Here is, so Falcon, right? We'll bring it front and center. The plugin used is called Inner Dimensions, right? So I edited it, and then the gain you see there, I actually put the modulation, I put aftertouch on it. I also, so the S88 runs channel aftertouch. The Artura Micro Freak here runs polyphonic aftertouch on a capacitive keyboard. WaveState does not run aftertouch, but the hardware will accept aftertouch. So a lot of times I'll play it off of the 88. The DeepMind 12 here is actually a aftertouch enabled keyboard. I use it some. It's a cool thing by Behringer. I have a Behringer D down here, monophonic synth, just gnarly sounding. I've got K2000 VX, fully loaded with all ROM expansions. It has everything you can have on it, but it will actually, so it's got aftertouch as well, right? So the MK3 here, let me switch screens real quick. MK3 does not have aftertouch, which is stupid. I have and that's the Artura Micro Freak. And so those capacitive keys make it really, it's a really weird experience to use it, but it's got full polyphonic aftertouch on a 27 key keyboard. And it's got a vocoder. So what the hell else could you ask for? And they're really responsive keys, right? So that's kind of weird. Okay, sorry. Back to so that is the Falcon. I'm going to do a whole show on Falcon, just not tonight. Right. So the other Progi that I've used is called Forbidden Planet, from East West Sounds. A young guy in Virginia was talking to me about it. Here we go. So I layered two different drones on the same MIDI channel. Then I layered a secondary drone on channel 2. It's got all kind of automation with it. It's got its own mixer. Come on. With multiple tools that can be added to it. Echoes, delays. So it's its own piece of sustained within itself, but it acts as a VST2, and Falcon is a VST2. So they nest inside of Cakewalk. So does the MK3 from Machine Nest. It's its own sphere totally. The Contact, Machine, Complete Control, Reactor, all that stuff will nest inside of Cakewalk as VSTs as well as standalone applications. Now, what I was telling you about the virus, anyway, so that's filter pad, bottom envelopes. So there's that. Pretty cool that it actually does its own, that will actually run itself, inside. Dock that back in the multi-dock. Contact. So I don't know how familiar you are with all this junk. I'm a big nerd as far as gear and software. So this is the guitar, right? Hey, it's muted. And it will not play. you got to realize all this stuff's running at like 60 BPM, so it's an incredibly slow piece of music, right? There's that. Of course, good old machine. And it's muted as well, I bet. Yeah, I muted the machine till the drums came on. So I'm just using a nice I say I'm using something. That's the kind of groovy little sound, drum sound I was using. So that runs you through the machine. Then we get into the virus. And it's distorted. Of course it is. It's being janky tonight. Music is not an exact science. So like a song called by Shrinkback called Nemesis, and they're like, evil is not an exact science. Well, I agree with that, and neither is music production. It's definitely not an exact science at all whatsoever. There's hiccups because you're using. I'm not a Mac fanboy, never have been. I use Windows exclusively for all of my productions. It's just going to be a bitch tonight. The virus. We put its ass to sleep real quick. For a $1,500 plus synthesizer, it does not have an off switch. It only allows you to put it to sleep, which is stupid. Like, just put a damn put a switch on it. So it's starting back up. Hey, here we go. Okay, so here's the virus. There's a song called Virus from KMFDM. Virus. So it's hardware controlled by software. Sub-oscillators, hypersaws, unison, all the filters, reverb, delay, ADSRs, low-pass filters, your low-pass, high-pass, saturations, digital, harsh. Then you have your three LFOs are all time synced with other things like pan spreads and a trigger on. Your matrix is kind of cool. This has a matrix that and you can assign different pieces to it, and it'll, like, if you decided to say, okay, I want channel pressure, which is aftertouch, And obviously you have the art mode, FX1, FX2, but here's the thing, right? If you're a computer nerd, the virus runs USB 1.0 and it runs 16 channels of 4824 audio, right? It also can run, if I chose to run 6 different synths on it on the six channels and 3 channels of input with real-time effects, I can do that as well right off of the virus. That's how crazy that piece of gear is, right? So that's pretty damn, it's a amazingly versatile piece of gear. Docking multi-dock. And then I said I'm running a couple of FX channels. So I'm running harmonic exciter, run a stereo imager on it, and I'm also running a dynamic. And you can make this thing learn your audio settings, right? So I'm actually running 2 different delays, 2 different reverbs, and then of course there is the ever faithful reverb from Cakewalk, only exclusive to Cakewalk. And it's a hell of a, I'll turn it off actually, so you lose a lot. But I'll turn back on reverb. Then that sub oscillation, that real deep in there. There's reverb. So there's that. And that came with Cakewalk exclusively. Will not work in any other DAWs because I run Reaper. Reaper sees it, but it will not run in it. I run Machine. Machine sees it, but it will not run in it. That must be on all channels. And it is omni-channel. That's why why it's picking everything up. And I could do a whole show on just the virus, but I really don't want to. Turn it on locally. Anyway, that's pretty much what's going on here at my studio, RenigadeCineTrax. If you're just joining, welcome to the Ambient Acid Show. I've been doing this nearly 3 years. Everything I have, every one of my shows they're all on YouTube. So I dump everything off of here, off of Twitch, and bring it all to YouTube. That way in perpetuity. It is here. I've done a couple of albums there, Mug, and a couple of singles. That goodbye. Uh, but that's kind of what I do. I hope you have enjoyed this. It's been a fun evening. I've got to do a little post production work on the track, and it will be up maybe later, probably tomorrow, maybe Tuesday. I'm out Tuesday, Wednesday, so it'll probably be out Tuesday, Wednesday. Actually, up on all the social medias and all that stuff. So, thank you all very much. I'll have the last three shows put up on my YouTube channel tonight. And I appreciate every one of you showing up. Thank you so much. This is DJ Renegade. Excuse me. I am your host and progenitor of the show. Much love, guys. I'm out.